Yasodhanandana Prajajana Yasodhanandana Prajajana Yamuna Chera Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Gaura Goranita, Goranita, Jaya Goranita. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Nitai Hariba, 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 Hariba. Jaya Vishnu Paramahamsa, Parivrajacharya. As taught was taught systematic divine grace. A.C. Bhakti Swami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai. ISKCON Seshadripuram Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jaya Vishnu Paramahamsa, Parivrajacharya. As taught was taught systematic divine grace. Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur Goswami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Si Kahao Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Si Advaita Gadadhar Sivasana Si Gaura Bhakti Ki Jai. Sri Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Shyamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Mayapanavadir Dham Ki Jai. Jagannathpuri Dham Ki Jai. Gangamaya Yamunamaya Ki Jai. Srimati Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakti Vina Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Our glory is to the sum of the devotees. Our glory is to the sum of the devotees. Our glory is to the sum of the devotees. All glories to Sister Goranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Santa Nasta Parayesta Bhakti Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sukhe Bhakti Bhakti. So, yes, what do you want? Why?
Hare Krishna. So very fortunate to have Bhakti Vasudev Swami Maharaj here in Seshadripuram. So His Holiness is an initiating guru within the ISKCON as well as member of a spiritual advisor Bhagavad Assembly. A partner of GBC, His Holiness Bhakti Vasudev Maharaj has spent more than 35 years as a monk in full-time service of propagating message consciousness. He joined ISKCON in Nigeria in 1984 and was initiated by His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj in 1860. He steered many projects in the early days of movement and thus subsequent under the order of his guru. Namely, only a few months after initiation, he became the member of the management committee and later the president of Lagos State Chapter ISKCON, where he oversaw the temple construction. In 1990, Maharaj served as a business secretary for Nigeria and West Africa. In February 2009, Maharaj received sannyas initiation from His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj. Then Maharaj is traveling all over the world, and Bhakti Maharaj instructed Maharaj that he should do something special to preach to prophecies. And then Maharaj did PhD, and Maharaj published more than 35 papers. And Maharaj goes to meet professors. So seeing the dress professors sometime may wonder, then Maharaj said, I have 35 publications. So then they become very open for the preaching. So, and one of the many roles Maharaj has taken in devotion time is to foster profoundly personal relationship with his young mentees, whom he guides in the spiritual and professional journey. And Maharaj encourages young devotees to be grounded in spiritual practices while developing their professional skills for a sustainable Krishna conscious future. And Maharaj inspired many people. Maharaj has done PhD from Walden University and 35 publications. And Maharaj incorporated Vaishnava Vedanta philosophy to mainstream secular academic models and proper creative and spiritually based solutions to current social political management leadership problems following footsteps of Bhakti Swami Maharaj. So Maharaj is regularly invited to present at major international conferences across the globe. In February 2005, he got invitation to present his research reports at 5 academic conferences in US, and afterwards served in the ISKCON of New Jersey as a Pujari while continuing with the academic teaching. Later, he became a US citizen by naturalization. So Maharaj has a lot of publications, some of the gunas and human behavior, Panacea for matrimonial failures, oriented organizational leadership, resolving religious conflicts for sustainable democracy and unity, and many others. So let's welcome His Holiness Bhakti Vasudev Maharaj by one time chanting Hare Krishna.
So thank you, Raja Krishna. This is called ice breaking, because when we meet, we are in the same devotional community, we are the same family, one big family, the Prabhupada's family, the Krishna family. And when we know each other's background, for instance, I meet some few devotees, and the first thing I ask is, what did you study in college before you joined? So I'm not supposed to ask that, right? But, you know, the whole idea is such that we encourage our young devotees to be able to perform their devotional service. At the same time, if they have come from some particular discipline, they have a disciplinary background in the academia, it creates a better future for their preaching, because in a way they can relate with the problems of the world and be able to use Krishna consciousness in addressing those problems. So those are some of the things I've been doing over the past 2 decades. And I go to places, and you have a very positive vibration here, and your devotees are very enthused. So that is, enthusiasm is one of those major elements required to be able to make progress in devotional service. Devotional service is simple, but we can also make it very complicated. All right. So let's get into this today's discussion. I'll be here as a facilitator, not as somebody who has come to download all of the stuff that I have read, and then just go to the class and download everything, and I know it could also be interactive, so I may ask you some questions in the process. So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 23, text 44. Is that what it's on the bar? 44? Okay. The title of this chapter is Devahuti's Lamentation. Devahuti. So, what's the next thing? To read the text? What's the next thing? To read the text? To read the text? Okay, we've done all of the other all of the other processes. Vibhajana vadatmanam manavim suratok sukham ramam niramayam reme vasapuga muhutava Vibhajana vadatmanam manavim suratosukam ramam niramayam reme vasapugam muhutava Vibhajana vadatmanam manavim suratosukam ramam niramayam reme vasapugam muhutava. Someone try?
Vibhajana vadatmanam manavi suratotsuka niramayam preme varshapugan muhurtavat
Mataji's. Mataji's. You can see? Okay, okay, I'm sorry. Oh, this is pretty small. Why did you make it a bigger? Hi. Zoom out. All right. Don't worry, Mataji's. Don't worry. Okay, leave that. But you're being selfish. You want it for yourself only. That's not good. Okay. Translation. Word for word translation. Translation and purport by His Divine Graces, Confound Acharya, Srila A.C. Bhakti Swami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. At least we should glorify Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Very good. Vibhaja, having divided. Navadha, into one. Into nine. Atmanam, himself. Manavim, the daughter of Manu. Devahuti. Surata, for sex life. Utsukam, who was eager. Raman, to his wife. Niramayan, giving pleasure. Reme, he enjoyed. Vasapugam, for many years. Muhutawad, like a moment. Translation. After coming back to his hermitage, he divided himself into 9 personalities just to give pleasure to the Devahuti, the daughter of Manu, who was eager for sex life. In that way, he enjoyed with her for many, many years, which passed just like a moment. Please responsibly repeat. After coming back to his hermitage, he divided himself into 9 personalities just to give pleasure to Devahuti, the daughter of Manu, who was eager for sex life. In our way, he enjoyed with her for many, many years, which passed just like a moment. Here, the daughter of Swayambhuva Manu, Devahuti, is described as Suratotsuka. After traveling with her husband all over the universe, in Mount Meru and the beautiful gardens of the heavenly kingdoms, she naturally became sexually stimulated, and in order to satisfy her sexual desire, Kadama Muni expanded himself into 9 forms instead of 1. He became 9, and 9 persons had sexual intercourse with Devahuti for many, many years. It is understood that the sexual appetite of a woman is 9 times greater than that of a man. That is clearly indicated here. Otherwise, Kadama Muni will have had no reason to expand himself into 9. Here is another example of yogic power. As the Supreme Personality of Godhead can expand himself in millions of forms, a yogi can also expand up to 9 forms, but not more than that. Another example is that Sabhari Muni, he also expanded himself into 8 forms. But however, powerful a yogi may be, he cannot expand himself into more than 8 or 9 forms. Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, can expand himself into millions of forms. Ananta Rupa, innumerable countless forms, as stated in the Brahma Samhita. No one can compare to the Supreme Personality of Godhead by any conceivable energetic manifestation of power. Come again to me around this, yeah? You're not jealous. Yeah? Saksu, the money come, yeah, not as much. See, go, baby. The Chaitanya Manobhista, Stam Fitam Ginam Putali, Swayam Rupa Kadam, Swadatika. Bande Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Nityananda Sahodata, Vadudhaya Puspavanto, Chita Chandatamon, Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Se Advaita, Sivasa, Sagora Bhakti. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Murtale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityananda. Namaste Saraswati Bhagavad Soyama Asatya Visitari Vanchakalpatari Bhaja Kripasalina Vaishnavi. So 2 basic fundamental principles or ideas are presented in the purport. And in the main text itself, the very first, the very part, the last phrase of the main text indicate how when someone is in an enjoyment mode, time passes so fast. Yeah, but if someone is suffering, time is very time moves at a millipede speed. You know millipede? It works very slowly. It has millions of legs, but very slow. When we encounter challenges in life, a day is like, thousands of years. And when we are in bliss, 100 years seems like a moment has just passed. And that is the description given here in the last sentence. In that way, he enjoyed with her for many, many years, which passed just like a moment. He enjoyed. Time is great. And you don't want the time to move. The time moves so fast. But in actuality, it's the same fundamental principle of time that is operational. Time really didn't move fast. The whole thing is created from the mind. I mean, it's just like we try to evaluate things based on how it suits our purpose, how we can gratify, how that subject or that object could gratify our senses. And so we say, no, this is good and this is not good. According to Chaitanya Charitamrita, it mentions that, Bhadra Vastu Gyan, Mahika Prakriti. The concept of Bhadra and Abhadra. This is good for my enjoyment. This is bad for my enjoyment. They are all creations of the mind. So when we are in a good, when we're having a good time, it seems that, time is running so fast. And when we have some challenges, it seems that, oh no. We even pray for life to end. You think Devahut is going to pray for life to end? You think that Kadama Moon is going to pray for life to end? No. And it just shows how time is relative. and how life itself is relative, and how our conditioning in itself is relative. Professor Pavlov, he developed the theory of conditioning, and in his experiment, he conditioned the dog. Yeah, those of you who did engineering and science, you must have heard about Pavlov's experiment. He conditioned this dog. Each time he wants to feed the dog, they will ring a bell. And so you get to the point that the dog will be salivating when even no food was there. This is how we are conditioned in this world. Pashyana pina pashyati. We are told this is dangerous. Even we see it, we hear it, we see it, because of our condition. It doesn't. The scriptures tell us, the acharyas told us, we read it, we speak it, but I remember just a few days ago, someone was asking me on this in a lecture that we were called for presentation on Zoom in New Jersey, in America. So one of the questions that somebody was asking was that, so, I mean, how do we make progress when we know this is what we're supposed to do and we're not able to do it? I said, it's because of our conditioning. So we have to unwind. It's like when you learn something, you have to try to unlearn it if you don't need it anymore. So, conditioning, Prabhupada mentions a number of times, we are conditioned souls. But that is the meaning of conditioning. Pavlov made the experiment, and it shows the danger of conditioning. If we are conditioned, it's like we are tied to a stake. When someone is going to be receiving public execution, they tie the person to a stake. When they tie you to a stake, you're conditioned. You can't help yourself. It is someone else to help you. And that is why in Krishna consciousness, we understand that females and males, we have different potentials. We have different kinetic and potential energies. And the females, if I have to, present that in a scientific way, the females have like 8 to 9 times more kinetic energy than males. I think this will be very pleasing to the women, because instead of saying, oh, yeah, lost it 9 times than, Yeah, so if you don't want to be offensive to people, this is how you can present this type of stuff. If you don't want people to be angry with you, oh yeah. Instead of bashing people, of bashing female devotees, of bashing females in general, this is just this is what the scripture said. This is what Prabhupada said. Not me. So this is the beauty of spiritual intellectuality, that you take the essence and present it in a way that would motivate and encourage people. So you're all young people, you're coming from different academic backgrounds, and there are different ways to be able to preach to people in general. I mean, it's just like, we know Krishna said that, people who are, who don't have sufficient intelligence, they worship the demigods. And you go to a community where they're all demigod worshippers, and you start bashing them, they're not going to join your society, okay? There are other statements that Krishna made in the Bhagavad Gita, which provides some insight on the idea that everyone is on Krishna's path. I mean, it's like someone is riding a bicycle, someone is using a motorbike, someone is using a Rolls Royce, and they are on their journey to another city. The one on Rolls Royce will get there earlier or fastest. But you don't condemn this bicycle guy who is riding the bicycle. He has no money. That's what he can afford. You say he's a second citizen. Or you say he's not even an Indian citizen because he has the bicycle. No. So here it portrays the idea that women have more kinetic energy, more potential energy than men. And, and when you say this, even the women, they'll be very happy, you know? Instead of batching them that, oh, see the Karma Muni has expanded himself, you know, into 9 places to satisfy her sexual desire. You know, you women, you are just a bunch of sex embodiment. No, so we have to understand and know how to preach to be able to win people's hearts. And the whole idea is that you can make an experiment. I conducted a research project in the US some time ago and confirmed this very phenomenon of how women have more kinetic and potential energy than men. Now, we have husband and wife. They're working in the same office. They have 2 kids. And the experiment was done with people, husband and wife, working the same number of hours and the same number of kids in the home. So what we found afterwards was that, in fact, I remember in one case, the guy, he told me, yeah, you know, I work the same number of hours in the same organization with my wife. And when I come back, I completely found out. I'm completely tired. I had to go to sleep. But she has to go out to go and fetch, you know, to go and fetch the children. She has to go to the kitchen to cook. And when she finishes cooking, she has to come wake me up and then, you know, come and eat. She's acting the whole day. He said, and then he said, for me, after the number of office work hours, I am exhausted. So it's not just some axiom or some hearsay that women have more kinetic and potential energy than men. Experiments have been conducted. That is why we'll find out in our own Vedic literature, the portrayal of women in that light of having more sex energy or sex appetite than men. Sometimes some women, they don't like to hear that statement. But the point is, if you read the scriptures and you hear what is transpiring, even in the case of Subhari Muni that Prabhupada gave also in purport, he has to expand himself to 8 forms to be able to satisfy the sex life of his partners. And so, yeah, we should honor and respect women based on the fact that they are the carriers of culture. And culture constitutes, you know, many toolkits. And so the social culture, also women are the pioneers. And if we want our movement, we want to spread our movement to highly intellectual people, we should treat the women nicely. We should get intelligent women to be our devotees. And just by having one intelligent, I remember when I was younger and the term of president, you know, Bhakti Vasudev Swami Maharaj, my Guru Maharaj, he told me, oh, Vasudev, just get one beautiful, intelligent woman as a brahmacharini in the temple. And the men naturally will join. So we did that, and it works. Yes, no. Instead of finding fault with women, we could see their good, their good qualities and how they can be so useful in spreading the message of Krishna consciousness. So, in the purport here, Prabhupada mentioned the Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, can expand himself into millions of forms. Now, if you find in the Uddhava Gita, in the same Srimad Bhagavatam, in Uddhava Gita, Krishna provides a delineation on the different cities, yoga cities. And one of them is that you can expand yourself. A perfect yogi can expand himself to about 8 to 9 forms. You can appear in different places, 8 or 9 forms. And the irony is that you will do the same thing at the same time with those forms. And the difference with Krishna's expansions is that Krishna expands into millions and millions of forms, and he performs different activities at the same time with those millions and millions of forms. And Narada Muni conducted the research. He went to Dwarka and he visited the different palaces of Krishna. And he found that Krishna was doing different things with these different queens. That's a research, So, yeah, people pursue yoga cities. But Krishna also mentioned in his discussion with Uddhava that the yogic perfections could distract one significantly from the path of bhakti. Because if you have yogic powers, for instance, you can expand yourself into different forms, 8 forms, or you can pass through this wall without a crack. Or whatever you wish, you just raise up your hand, and you can get it. Get some arches or some gold ring or something like that, and you can tell people that, hey, I'm Bhagawan. When people have yoga, mystic powers, there's high temptation of misleading people. Or people, the followers may even tell them that, you're Bhagawan. Or may start preaching that the person is Bhagawan. And there's so many of them in India like that. So, Krishna mentioned that, he mentioned to Uddhava that these mystic cities, the perfection of the mystic cities can distract one from Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada never emphasized that we should endeavor for mystic cities. If it comes naturally, it's okay. Prabhupada never endeavor for mystic cities. And we will see Krishna come to play in the grasses right before him on the lawn. I remember one devotee was recounting that. So he went to give Prabhupada some rasagula, and when he went to the room, Prabhupada was crying very serious. So he went to meet Govinda Dasi. That what's happening? This is what I saw from Prabhupada. So I was a little bit worried. So I left the room. So then later he went. So Govinda Dasi told him that that's Prabhupada. So later he went, and Prabhupada told him to wait. So then when he did his service, when he delivered the prasadam, he asked Prabhupada that what is going on? So Prabhupada said that he was crying for the mercy for the mercy that his spiritual masters endowed upon him, that he was able to see Krishna. Krishna just came to him and he was playing on the lawn and in the grasses there. So he was crying in ecstasy. He didn't endeavor for mystic cities. And even you have mystic cities, you may not see Krishna, because you may just think that you become Krishna. So devotees have to be careful, because the past of mysticism could mislead one from genuine development of bhakti. So enjoyment is there, and when we are lucky, our enjoyment is also predestined. You don't say, oh, this person has so much of resources, and I don't have any. No, we are all born with different types of sanskaras. We're born with different types of karmic waves. The good things will come, and so we face some challenges. And therefore, the devotees simply focus on how to develop genuine, uninterrupted love for Krishna. But love for Krishna also means love. If you don't love the devotees around you, how are you going to love Krishna? Huh? If you tell Modi that I love you so much, but you want to kill his son, what would that mean? So our endeavor in devotional service could be easy when we try to see each and everyone around us as part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna mentions this in the Gita. Mama evam so jiva lok, jiva buddha sanat. So we are one family. There should be that love should radiate amongst ourselves. Then the love for Krishna, to develop love for Krishna, becomes pretty easy. And we should not take. Sometimes it's so easy to take I think I've seen a number of cases where people have said, "Oh, relationship between karma money and devotee, that's an ideal family life." Yes, but if you want your wife to serve you like karma money, I mean like devotee, menial servant like devotee, become a neo karma money. And don't you see how devotee was serving, menially serving karma money? But try to understand, when karma money and devotee got married, karma money provided a ticket for devotee to go back to Godhead. And devotee said, hold the ticket. We just signed the social contract of marriage. At the end of life, then you give me the ticket. For now, there's one objective. Our goal is to marry and have fun. So if you want your spouse to serve you like the way devotee was menially serving karma money, although she was the daughter of Manu, Swayambhava Manu, then my advice to you is become a neo karma money. Any comments or questions? Any comments or questions? In the absence of any comments or questions, we'd like to adjourn this meeting. All right? More comments? Yes. It's sometimes what? Oh, okay. My interactions with my Guru Maharaj is been very rough. Because it gives me when there's a crisis, then he says, Vasudev, go deal with it. That's why I say it's very rough. I think that some people, if you do like that, they'll carry their bags and they'll just run away. I remember when he asked me to be the president of Lagos Temple, there was a crisis. Some people were trying to close down the society or trying to level charges against society and against the guru. And I used to be very rough. Like, I was like acting like a soldier who is ready to die. You know? That's very tough. I didn't really fear anything, you know? I was ready to die. Because my concept of when I joined the movement was that, like a military, you sign a death warrant. So when society was in crisis, some people, one commissioner of police with some other boys, they were trying to run down the system. So he said, he removed the president because things were really going down, and a lot of implications, international implications, criminal implications were going to be leveled based on what they were doing, what these people were professing to the public. So he changed, he made some changes, and that's when he made me the president. I mean, so, you know, sometimes in the dead of night, I get arrested by the police. Take it to the police station. So I remember on one occasion, they had like, you know, multiple charges against ISKCON. These boys, they were the voters before, but then, you know, they had some shortcomings and they blooped. So they connived with this commissioner of police, and then they came to, you know, level some charges against society. And on one occasion when I went for interview. So the other party, the accusers, the complainants, they were also there. And we know each other very well. Okay. So then I was going to defend ISKCON. I was going to make my statement to defend ISKCON. And when I went into the charge room, those of if you've worked in the police department, you know, they put in the charge room where you've been interrogated. These are the charges against you, you know, say your statement, defend yourself. So there were so many charges against ISKCON. I think maybe about 18 or 19 charges. And, you know, I just spoke because also when I was young, I had served in the Justice Department. So police and, you know, all this is nothing new to me. And so, and I knew the legal procedures. So when I went in, and then the police officer who was investigating the case started interrogating me and profiling the charges against ISKCON. You know, I addressed each and every one of them, and then all of them were just struck out. So the guys who were fighting against ISKCON, when we left the charge room, you know, we came outside, and then they said that, oh, Vasudev, or you went to bribe the police. That's why they released you. But I didn't know any of those police officers. It's just that they presented some charges against ISKCON, and how to address it. And they struck out. They struck out all of them. And that was how that case ended. So back to the point. I'm taking your last question, last part of your question first. In terms of my interactions with my spiritual master, yeah, he always had given me very difficult services. And it's just that I was stubborn, otherwise I should have actually run away. But I thought, well, I given up my work. I was working with the judiciary. I resigned my work and moved to the temple. So we had to go. So I decided to endeavor to be able to do everything that I was told to do. So when some devotees were killed in a war-torn country, one white devotee and some other black devotees were killed during the civil war in Liberia. And the war was still going on. So he told me, Vasudev, you go to Liberia and investigate how the devotees got killed. War was still going on. So you should hear this. Sometimes you see some people moving around and they say, oh, he's a big scholar, he has a PhD, he's a Swami, he's a guru. Oh, he's enjoying his life. If you understand the background, you say, wow, that was a hellish passing through all of those situations. So then, when you get that instruction, I flew into the neighboring country. That time I was in Africa. I flew into the neighboring country. That was Ivory Coast. There was a temple there. And the president was a disciple of Bhakti Vasudev Swami. So I went to the temple because I wanted to get some idea of what is really happening in Liberia before I go there. And I was going with a one-way ticket. I was going with a one-way ticket in a war-torn country. The war is still going on. This is Guru Maharaj. Instruction. So when I had a meeting with the president of that temple, a disciple of Bhakti Vasudev Swami, he sat me down and preached to me not to go to Liberia, except I want to die. So I looked at him right in his face and asked him, between you and the guru, whose instruction, whose order should I follow? I said, you, get out of my life. So I went to Liberia. I flew in, and the whole airport is filled with military soldiers, fully equipped with military arms. So I got someone picked me up in a taxi. I went to one guy's home, and the place was very rough. There was a lot of bombings and killings that were going on. So I investigated, I got all of the facts about how the devotees got killed. Then I have to do Sankirtan on the streets of a war-torn country to raise my ticket to fly out. It's very sweet to be a devotee, no? So then I was preaching. I was trying to raise some money selling books, Prabhupada's books. And at some point in time, he sent me ticket money to fly out. So I left. So these are some of the rough situations that I had to pass through in ISKCON, you know. But one thing I know for sure is that, and this is for the brahmacharis, I will not to tell you this because I remember when I just took singers, then I went to Chopati, and then these brahmacharis in Chopati, they come to me and say, oh Maharaj, come and tell us some pastimes between you and your Guru Maharaj. I told these brahmacharis, I said, you will not like it. It was strange to them. How I could say, pastime with my Guru Maharaj, they would not like it. And His Holiness Rana Swami, you know, he talks so much about Bhakti Vasudev Swami. And this guy is saying these pastimes with his Guru Maharaj that they will not like it. They insisted, tell us. I told them one story, how when I was a regional secretary, my Guru Maharaj has a personal secretary who does typing and communications. Very beautiful lady. So that time when I was a young brahmachari, I was very tough. Very, very strict and tough brahmachari. So then we were to travel, that lady himself and myself. So I went to the car. It was a Peugeot wagon. So it has the driver's row and two other rows. So the lady was sitting behind the driver, but behind the driver's seat. And I was a brahmachari. I cannot sit with a lady, So I went to sit at the rear, at the back row. So Bhakti Swami, he came, when we were to move, he came down. He normally sits with the driver. So he came down and he looked into the car and he saw that I was at the back row. And he said, Vasudev, come. Her name is Himawati, the lady's name. He said, Vasudev, come and sit with Himawati here. When I told this Chapati Brahmachari this, all of them, they open their mouth. Yeah. And we went on that trip and go to different temples, because when he comes, he visits different temples. Yeah, so I'm in Mayapur now for the past 2 years or whatever. And then in Mayapur, the buildings where the brahmacharis live, they are circumscribed. You cannot, there's a gate. Before, people used to pass through one of the streets there, but now nobody can pass through there. So I thought, India, they are protecting the brahmacharis so much. But we were asked to sit with Matajis traveling. Yeah, so, but then look at it. The underlying principle is that it was preparing me for my international trips. And so if I have to go into an airplane and I go to my seat and I find one beautiful lady here, would I tell them, hey, I'm a brahmachari, just get these guys out of this place? No, they don't sit there. So that was preparation for future travels. And how I got to join Krishna consciousness was simple. When I was a young boy, I was reading some Indian literatures, and I think maybe I was like in grade 3 or grade 4. I started reading Indian literatures. This is primary 3 or primary 4. Because I was always interested in trying to understand why, some people are born in poor families, some people are born beautiful, some people are born lame, deaf, blind. And I asked this question to, ask family members this question, ask, the pastors in the church this question, and the answer I will always get is, you're a small boy, you're asking too many big questions. No answer, so I started to investigate myself by reading books. So I got some information, but they were all impersonal conceptions. But when I was working with the Justice Department, one day I was coming from the band, and then I saw one devotee, he was displaying some books, And he was just putting on the chadar. I mean, he dressed like as if he's on the altar, which is not supposed to be. And then I realized he's not supposed to dress like that, because he's going to the public and it's not India. India, he dressed like that, they would say, oh, Sadhu. So then I noticed one thing, where he was standing, people who saw him would take another road because they were scared. Tilak and all those things, and he was putting on just a chadar with bare body. So, but then I like, from childhood, I like things that people are afraid of. The things that people are afraid of, I like it. I like to go and, experiment with it. I didn't like things that people were doing in general. I remember also when I was a teenager in high school, when there was some new dress, some new shoes in vogue, that, all young people, they're going for it. I tell my father, don't buy it for me. He said, why? I said, everybody has it, so what? Yeah, so when people were running away from this guy, I said, oh, let me go meet him. So I went to meet him and I challenged him. I said, what are you doing here? He was very calm. He said, oh, he's distributing spiritual books and all this. And so I bought 2 literatures. I remember coming back and one other literature, maybe. I don't remember the other one, but some scientific literature. I think maybe life on another, something beyond life on another planet or something. What is the name of that?
Easy journey to
Yeah, Easy Journey to Other Planets. I got those 2 books. I came back to my house. I was living by myself. So I came back to my house and I didn't give it a chance. I stayed up the night to read the whole content of those books. So I said, oh, this is what I've been looking for. So I traced their temple. I went for Sunday feast. And the very first day I went for Sunday feast, the temple president engaged me to do accounting work, to bring the donation box, count all the money there, and give it to him. So I said, but he doesn't know me, and he just trusted me. Just one day he seen me. Yeah, so we became friends. Incidentally, he left ISKCON because of some ways that he was treated. He's a science now in Godiama. But he was such a nice guy. He encouraged me so much. I remember I joined his temple at some point in time. Like I met devotees in December 1983, and then in February 1984, I left my job. I was on vacation, 2 weeks vacation. I went to the temple. So I was going with devotees for Harina, book distribution, and all this stuff. And there was one professor who was also on vacation in that temple. And he had gone up, he took me out on Sankirtan. And he told me something. He said, see, I've seen the way you preach. If you become a full-time devotee, you can make very speedy progress. He told me that. So, but I didn't mind him. He told me something else. He said that for him, he cannot be a full-time devotee because he knows the science of devotional service. He said he knows that you have to remember Krishna at the time of death. And that is what he's been concentrating on. Second, he's very much attached to his mother, so he cannot leave his mother to become full-time devotee. So I thought, good for you. So when I came to the temple for my vacation, I just was reading voraciously. I'll go to the back of the temple building and read when we come back from Sankirtan, because in the ashram, they make so much of noise and talking and this and that. So I'll go and hide at the back of the temple and read. So I just became so convinced, and I thought, what's the use of going back to this work? So that's how I decided to be a full-time in the temple. But then I stayed in the temple, I lived in the temple. I never had, it never occurred to me to visit my family for 16 years, 16. So they thought I was gone. But my father's younger sister, she was married to a military guy, and she had told the husband, she has asked the husband one time, the husband told me all of this stuff later afterwards. He had asked the husband, do you love me? Husband said, yes, I love you. She said, if you love me, go get my brother out of that place. In other words, the military husband should go get me out from ISKCON. And Krishna inspired that military guy. He asked her, now, I will do anything you tell me. Anything, you're my lovely wife. I will do anything you tell me to go and bring a brother out from that place. Easy job. But I want you to answer my question. Now, examine your family, the whole of your family. Examine your family very nicely. You show me one person in your family who has that boy's intelligence. Academically, you show me one person in your family who has his intelligence. Because I was very promising as a young man, intellectually. So the wife wouldn't answer. Then she said, you just keep your mouth shut. So one time, one of my friend's brother, he took me to that guy's home to visit her. When we went, that my aunt, she couldn't recognize me, but the husband recognized me. So the lady was asking, my aunt was asking my friend who took me there, my friend's brother who took me there. He said, who is this guy? Who is this your friend that you came with? So the husband overheard her asking that question to the guy who brought me there. Then the husband told her, that is your brother. The person you wanted me to go and pull out, that's the one. So we are laughing. Yeah, so why I brought up that story is that I'm sure a number of the brahmacharis, when you join the movement, family members are antagonistic. So you should understand, in Russia, people were sent to mental homes in the beginning. It cannot, if to go back to God and is the solution to everything, it cannot be so easy. We will have challenges. But we should stand firm to be able to deal with the challenges and depend on Krishna and the spiritual master. Mataji, did I answer your questions? All right. Thank you. Yes. Oh. Huh? Yes, chant. Chant always. Krishna said, Man mana bhava ma bhakta. You become, chant, always think of me, become my devotee. That is the Paramahansa stage. And at this stage, what do we do? That's why Prabhupada arranged the system the practice of sadhana in such a way that we have a program. We wake up, we come from Mangarati, wake up at a particular time to do our japa, preferably 60, if it is minimum 60 rounds before we go out to work or before we go to school, except otherwise stated. So the idea is that we've been molded to come to that level of always thinking of Krishna. We're doing some service. I remember, okay, you said something you asked a very pertinent question. I remember when I was doing my PhD, we had one of the courses, compulsory courses we have to do. I did applied management and decision sciences. And so there was statistics involved. And imagine a PhD level statistics. It was so difficult. And each time I want to read, I will pray to Krishna. Krishna, look, I don't know anything. Help me to understand what I have to read. And you know what? A class of about, I think 11 PhD students, I remember. I did my work separately and I never wanted to, interact with those students because I tried to interact with them, but then each and every time they call you up and say, Vasudev, this and this and this, this and this and this. Come on. I need to have my time for myself. So when we were doing the statistics course, I was already free from interacting with these students. And I did all of my work by myself. All of the rest of the students, they collaborated. The white professor who was teaching that course, he detected that they did some collaboration and he canceled the whole of their works. They are supposed to be expelled from the school. It's just that he's a nice guy because that is called violation of academic integrity. But I did my work by myself. It was very difficult, but I did my work. I was praying to Krishna that Krishna should help me out. And I got A+. In America, in my school, at the doctoral level, A means 90+. Statistics, PhD level statistics. You just figure out what that means. So all of the other students, he canceled their work. That means it was only me who passed the course. They have to redo it. So the bottom line is that sometimes we are put in difficulty, but it is not to damage our lives, but to allow us to take proper shelter of Krishna, to think of Krishna. Yeah. So we do our japa, we do our services, but all of them have a link, a connection with Krishna. We relate with the devotees, but that relationship is connected with Krishna. So nothing mundane. And when we have this, when we are conscious of what we are doing based on Krishna consciousness, that is going to facilitate our remembrance of Krishna all the time. We are reading, we are remembering Krishna. Because according to the Gita Mahatmya, Lord Vishnu had a discussion with Lakshmiji, and he said that the Bhagavad Gita is not different from him. So reading the Vedic literature, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavatam is no different from Krishna. The Bhagavad Gita is not different from Krishna. So we need to read, because if we have to preach, Prabhupada mentioned we have to read. How many people here have done the Bhakti Sastri course? Bhakti Sastri? You finish? So everyone should endeavor to do the Bhakti Sastri course. Some of my students, I'm going to give you this session on March. Some of the students, they've already done the Bhakti Sastri. So then it makes it easy for you to be able to preach. the Bhakti Sastri, the curriculum is very nice. And even the teachers, they may not know what they're using, but it's a very high profile curriculum. And so we should see how we are becoming grounded in the knowledge. If we want to become preachers, very good preachers, yeah, we should do the Bhakti Sastri. And there are some new policies are in progress that will make it imperative for people who want to be in some leadership position. One of the conditions will be that they have some of these degrees, Bhakti Vaibhava, Bhakti Sastri, and all this stuff. And yes, especially when you're coming from intellectual background and you are preaching, yes, it will enhance your preaching potential. All right, what's the time now? What's the time? See, I had to do my data services. And so we would like to end the class in 10 minutes time. Okay, 9:30 we'll have to end the class. So yes, any comments? Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for your experiences. Very, very enriching and keeping us to go ahead.
Thank you.
My question was, Maharaj, that the very definition of conditioned means we don't know that I'm conditioned. When I tell I'm conditioned, I don't know that I have problems. So how do I get to know that I have conditions and I have to get out of that?
Yeah, we hear from the scriptures and we also do self-diagnosis, self-analysis. We hear from the scriptures that the conditions so they can't help themselves when they didn't help. Like someone who is tied to a stake, about to be executed, public execution. And conditions so even after hearing, after seeing, they do the same thing. I remember when I was a kid, I sneaked out of the house to go to the stadium to watch public execution. As a kid. If I tell you some of the things I do as a kid, you'll be shocked. So I went to witness public execution at the stadium. As we were leaving, nothing. I was not a devotee, okay? I was not involved in any philosophical understanding of philosophical thesis. But what I saw stick in my consciousness till today. After the execution, they were being executed for robbery, armed robbery. And after the execution, as we were going out from the stadium, at the gate, police guys caught people who were picking pocket. They were stealing. People were just executed for stealing. And right after that, people are stealing. This is condition so. Even after seeing, after hearing, they don't care. And Arjuna raised this question. What is it that forces someone to do things against a better judgment, as if being forced? And Krishna's response was, Kama Esha, Kruda Esha, Rajaguna Tamu, Mahasanova Mahapatna, Vidina Ihpai. The greatest enemy is lost. We think we have an enemy somewhere. Someone says something bad against us, and we say, oh, it's my enemy. And our greatest enemy is what is impelling us to do things that will implicate us, to do things against the criminal codes of the country, do things against the Vedic standard. So that is how to be able to figure out whether we are conditioned. Are we being forced to do things against our better judgment? Yes. I'm conditioned. How am I going to be relieved? The process of devotional service purifies. Bhakti Vasudev wrote a book, Transforming Lust into Love. The process of devotional service helps to transform our tendency to exploit the resources of material nature into dovetailing those resources in Krishna consciousness. You know what I mean? And the human resource, our bodies, are the greatest of the resources of material nature. So if we use this body at the altar of devotional service, we'll become purified and we'll become disconditioned. Does it make sense? Any other comments here?
Maharaj, you were mentioning about difficult services that you took for service.
I didn't deserve for it. It's just my karma.
So many times what happens when a difficult service comes to us, and along with the difficult service, there is a lot of difficult chastisement that also comes to us. So how do we take that in a proper spirit? Because it disturbs the person.
Sure.
But how do we take it in a proper spirit and still respect our the superior and value him?
Yeah. Difficulties, naturally, we don't like to do difficulties. And we have to do it, then we think we've been forced to do it. I mean, it's like your mother asks you as a teenager to go wash the dishes or to go wash something, do something, clean the kitchen or something. Naturally, I didn't like domestic chores. I hated domestic chores. But if my mother asked me to do some domestic chores, what can I do? Okay, I had to do it. I had to do it. So, but then the understanding is that I'm trying to help out. So in devotional service, we're giving some service. We should understand this is for my purification. It's not that the president is asking to do it for him. And if even you perceive that he's imposing this on you to punish you, you should take it very lovingly, that this is meant for my purification. In fact, difficult services help to expedite our purification. That is one of the good things. Difficult services help to expedite, quicken, to speed up our purification. And when things that don't inconvenience you, you don't get speedily purified. Because anyone can do it. You don't have any inconvenience. Inconvenience means you're becoming purified. Okay. It's a nice question. And yeah, so that is a basic thing we have to understand. Otherwise, we just think, oh, Vasudev has asked me to do this service. What is his right? Whatever we're doing in devotional service is for Krishna. We shouldn't think that we are doing it for the president, or we are doing it for the vice president, or we're doing it for the temple commander. Yeah. Doesn't make sense. All right. And we'd like to end up here. In case you have some questions, you can email me, bvs.bts8@gmail.com. You got that? BVS, Bhakti Vasudev Swami, BVS.BTS, Bhakti Theater Swami, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8@gmail.com. I'm a liberal guy, so you feel free to reach out to me when you have some questions. Don't see me as another Swami, Jai Maharaj. I'm not going to eat the Jai Maharaj. And if there's a proper rule of demarcation between the person who can help and the person who needs the help never gets help. Do you understand what I mean? If there is a barrier between the teacher and the student, the student cannot get the appropriate assistance, appropriate help. Therefore, I make myself available for responding to your question. I remember someone in Spain started communicating with me, and the whole thing is he wants, if it is the backward time, he wants some clarification, then he should write me. I said, yeah, you feel free to do so. So yeah, we need a situation where our devotees have an opportunity to be able to get clarifications when they need any. So yeah, I'm available. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hey, Mukund, you're here. You're not working today?
I'm sorry,
You're not working today?
Most difficult words, Maharaj, make it so easy to understand. Is it present? And Maharaj will be giving Sunday feast on Sunday 11:30 in class, and next week Maharaj will be giving Sunday Agata class 29. Thank Maharaj once more chanting Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for participating in this Bhagavatam class.